Morning all. How are we all doing? Everybody good? Everybody survived the pound US dollar? I got out yesterday. Look. I'm flat. I got out way too soon, obviously, because that's what I do all the time. But I got out. I could have left it on. I really should have left it on because that was worth about another 4 or 5%. But I don't care. I'm out. That is officially the longest squeeze I have ever been in, ever. On the H4 chart, zoomed out, it's almost the entire chart, look. But hey, just goes to show patience pays. Not in this case, though, because I made a loss overall, but I'm out. I don't care. Morning, Amy. Morning, Neo, Danny, JC, Peter, Danny, Martin, Virginia, Kennelly, Gregors, Hood Guy. Morning. So, so out of the pounds US, finally. This is the market structure I've been talking about for the last sort of week or so that I was anticipating. That double bottom kind of nailed it. So we should basically go for a new high, but I had too much volume and too much on to hold this one. I couldn't risk that after that amount of time. So out, done, paid, all good. Right, let's have a quick look at the news. How's time? Got 7 minutes. So it all kicks off today. Already has actually started to kick off today with the claimant count for the UK. So 20K is the result. We're expecting a 2.3K. That looks like quite a big number. But overall, it's not actually the fluctuations in this one. If you look at the historical results, we've had 21 forecast, 13 and a half, a 31, and we got a 45. So a fluctuation of around about 10 to 20K is actually norm. So that isn't actually as bad as it looks. The pound, if you look at the pound this morning, obviously the pound is rallying against the US dollar. It's come down against the New Zealand, the yen, it's coming down a little bit. So not an awful lot of movement on the Swissy. So the market's not having a huge reaction to it. It seemed to have a positive spike to it, basically. But Aussie and New Zealand flying at the moment today. So they're keeping everything down. So that's not a very good gauge. But so not a massive result, that one. It is just the claimant count. It's the unemployment rate, which is the important one, not the claimant. So so that isn't an awful lot of news this morning. The main news we've got today is the PMI figures. So it's PMI day today, 8:15 and 8:30 for the French and the German. Don't worry about the 9 o'clock because that will be unknown. Whatever the sum of those two is what that's going to be. So we don't need to worry about that one. Unless there's some other country that's got a very weird PMI, but it's very unusual. Then 9:30, we've got the UK PMIs, and then 2:45, we've got the US. So it's a very tricky opening range breakout day today because 15 minutes after the open and 30 minutes after the open, we've got news which is going to affect the DAX. 15 minutes after the US Open, we've got news that's going to affect all the US indices. So we may have a fairly contracted open while we're waiting for the news to come in. We'll see what happens. The other thing, obviously, we got affecting us today is it's the first day of earnings fortnight, or first proper day of earnings fortnight. So this week is the one where we start the volume. So pre-market today, we've got 3M, Coca-Cola, General Electric, General Motors, Spotify, and Verizon. And then aftermarket this evening, which should come out at 9:30-ish. But sometimes it creeps out before the market closes. We have Google, Microsoft, Snap, and Visa, Teladoc as well. So big day today, probably the biggest day for earnings. So hell of a lot of volatility everywhere potentially today. So it's going to be an interesting one. We've also got Hamas releasing hostages, which is calming down the Middle East situation, which is bringing the oil prices down, and gold as well. So it's, there's a lot of stuff kicking off everywhere today. So it should be an interesting one. We'll have a quick look at the pre-market, the overnight news as well. We've got 4 minutes. So just going back to yesterday, we had that Bank of England rate expectation of another 0.25% seen at 50-50. So it's possible that we're going to put interest rates up again on the pound, which is going to be bullish for the pound. As you can see, the pound is rallying a little bit as well at the moment. Not a lot else there. Gaza hostage talks. Yeah, we just talked about that one. And just seeing if there's any other red news or any Japanese. I haven't had a chance to look this morning. Japan mulls cutting income tax by 40,000 yen. Bank of Japan's medium estimate for inflation stood at +2 for September, hitting the 2% mark for the first time since January 2021. Japan's economy is in recovery. Okay, so it's all bullish yen. So bullish yen. So we look at the US dollar yen, which is the main gauge for the intervention, that is coming down. So we've got a weak US dollar at the moment. We've got a little bit of strength coming through on that yen. So unlikely we may well need another intervention move. So I'm going to have to hold this bloody US dollar yen now, unfortunately. New Zealand's pushing up against the yen. Euro coming down against it. Swiss not really moving. Aussie rallying. So the Aussie and New Zealand really rallying today as well. But so I'm going to have to hold this. My average is only 150 ADR away. But by the time I get to that, that is not going to be at break even because I've got so much swaps on it. It's one of the most expensive, or in fact, it is the most expensive currency for swaps. Okay. Looking at the DAX. So that's your news. Looking at the DAX, we've got a gap up today, gap up situation today. We've got a gap fill from Thursday, Friday last week as well to complete to the upside. So upside gap fill, downside small gap fill down there, which is there. So we had an update yesterday, which was great. So we've got plenty of room to the upside. So the first target to the upside, yesterday's high is irrelevant really because it was the open, the very top of yesterday's open. So I would say the gap fill, which is Thursday's low, is probably, or Friday's high you could use. Look, Friday's high, which is the second blue dotted line here. So that's Friday's high, is your upside target today. Downside target obviously initially would be for a gap fill bounce if we're going to go long, if it does rally short. We've got yesterday's low, which is not there. It's all the way down here at ADR. So if we do break through the gap, we go short today, we'd be looking at yesterday's low. But we've got so many earnings coming out today, it's highly unlikely we're going to get loads of negative. We always have overwhelmingly positive most of the time. So I suspect we're going to get a rally at some point today. So market's just opened. Oh, I moved it, didn't I? There we go. We're over there. So gone short at the open. Yeah, it's annoying. I'd rather have gone long, but momentum's gone short. So yesterday, good day yesterday. Banked 6% yesterday. So we had I'll go through the trades in a minute. Actually, let's just see what the open does first. I'll go through the trades that I closed out on the US because the US looked like a whitewash. If you were in the live room yesterday afternoon, it looked like a complete whitewash yesterday afternoon. Hedged on every single pair. Got out of the whole lot with a huge profit. So I'll just show you how that happened and how it all played out yesterday. Big sell-off coming in on the Dow. Well, I say big sell-off. Bearish. Not really that big, is it? And that was the S&P, not the Dow. That's the Dow. Sorry. Still waking up. It's early. Okay, so DAX putting back inside the opening range. Morning, Day Trader FX. Ismet, John, Daniel, Bradley, AZ. Morning, XRUpdate.news. Morning, James. Morning, Neo. Morning, Sam. Are there any restrictions on the types of trades that can be made during pre-market hours? Not as far as I'm aware. There is no pre-market hours in Forex. Forex is 24/5. Forex doesn't shut. Forex shuts for 5 minutes overnight for swaps. That's it. But Forex is 24/7 basically, 24/5. It's only the indices that shut. Morning, Marco, Baggy, Michael. Do you trade ICT? Nope, don't trade that shit. I love your icon. You've got a picture of ICT. Obviously, you're an ICT. Yeah, I wouldn't come here, mate. This is not for you. I make money live every day. Real world. Look, profit. Profit. Don't sell courses and crap. You can tell I'm getting a bit on edge already. Go and trade ICT if you want to. It's absolutely fantastic. DAX isn't moving much. We're stuck. Surprised we haven't got more volume today, but then again, we haven't got the earnings out yet. So, and obviously we've got the news. So we're probably, it looks like we are hanging around for 8:15. So it's unfortunate because it's a high probability on news days that we get hedged. So the market's going to just hang for 15 minutes, half an hour, maybe, depending on whether we wait for Germany or France. And then we will get a move. So probably going to get hedged on the DAX this morning, which is fine. Got hedged on all three indices yesterday and made 6%. Did ICT make 6% yesterday? I don't think he did. Because he doesn't trade live. Morning, Hood Guy. I've already said morning to you, haven't I think? Big whippy candle on the Dow and also on the NASDAQ this morning. So all the indices this morning are a bit undecided on direction. Still not hedged yet. UJ coming down? Yeah, Peter, it is. Morning, later on. But yeah, as you say, swap is just evil. So I'm hoping that this is the start of that move to the downside. So there's your 5-minute open. So we are bearish at the open, but obviously it's pulled all the way back. So I think we'll probably, hedged. So hedged on the DAX. We'll wait and see what happens at the open. Sorry, at the news. And then we'll look for a directional bias. So today, this is a tricky one today because obviously we've got the gap fill. So if the gap fill breaks, we're looking at yesterday's low as potentially a target to the downside. However, we got this little area here where we pulled back and started the bull run back up to where we opened yesterday, which is 5R. So that looks like a pretty good target to leave in place today. And then obviously, hopefully we'll get a bounce out of yesterday's low. Upside, it's the gap fill. So that target is pretty much spot on as well. Gap fill. Upside is 5R. So I'm happy with those targets today. So we'll see if we can get out on a run. But we're going to have to wait until 8:30, basically, until we've had the PMI figures for Germany. So yesterday, the other trades yesterday from yesterday afternoon's live room, NASDAQ, basically Can you? Yeah, so there's the open. So we had a complete whipsaw at the open, so got hedged straight away at the open. We pushed down into that double bottom. If you remember in the live room, you can't see that, can you? Because my head's in the way. So remember I said in the live room, watch this price point for the bounce, basically. It bounced so aggressively and so fast, didn't have time to react to it, basically. So could have taken it off when we hit it, which would have been a kind of preemptive exit, bit dangerous. So left it, got hedged, ran it. So this one on the NASDAQ, basically, I took the shorts off when we broke the high and we pulled back and it looked like we were rallying. So we put basically an outside bar in, took off the shorts, and then I just took off the longs. I did this in the live room, if you remember, and I took a $900 loss on it because I'd already made $1,700 on the DAX in the morning. Then the S&P yesterday, very similar situation on that one. But if you remember, I said in the live room, I'm not going to do the S&P and the Dow. I'm going to let those two run because I wasn't sure whether the NASDAQ would work. They flew. So as soon as we hit this level here, which was an old monthly level, we put a massive bearish engulfing in. So I exited the long positions. EA took the shorts. Then I went into drawdown on it and then came back and exited down there. So nice exit on that one. Made a few just grand or two on that one. And the Dow was very much the same trade. However, if you remember the Dow yesterday, for some reason, the EA didn't trigger properly on this one. We got some weird blockage in something. I don't know. It just didn't work yesterday, did it, for some reason? So I took one with the EA and I had to take 3 manuals. So we pushed up exactly the same play as on the S&P. As soon as we got that massive bearish move in, exited the longs, re-entered the shorts, went into drawdown, and then came down and exited there. I was out when that exit happened, so I didn't take off these ones until all the way down there. So actually I made a little bit more money than I should have done on this one because it should have been an exit there. So I made about an extra $700, $800 or something on top of what the result should have been yesterday. So yeah, perfect examples of the hedge exit, the aggressive hedge exit working out across all the indices. So if you go and watch yesterday afternoon's live room, you'll see the whole thing fell apart and ended up being a huge win. So fantastic strategy. I have to say, of all the strategies I've ever created and traded, this is fast becoming my favorite, as you can see by the 25% P&L this month. Anyway, so that was yesterday's indices. Yeah, DAX we're obviously stuck at the moment, so we'll just hang around for the news. So we'll have a look at the FX market. We've got 6 minutes until the first news event. Let's go. Let's go yen. So ADRs today, we've got absolutely nothing. Obviously nothing on the weeklies. We're only on Tuesday. We only had 3 ADRs yesterday, and they were only 100%. So there wasn't anything particularly exciting to look at yesterday. The weekly range is obviously, as you know, we had nothing yesterday, so you got nothing today. Monthlies, we looked at all of these. The vast majority of these are Swiss franc related. So we've got the Aussie dollar Swiss, we've got the CAD Swiss, we've got the Euro Swiss, we've got the pound Swiss, and we've got the New Zealand Swiss and the Swiss yen. The only thing that isn't extended is the Euro New Zealand. So all of those Swiss franc moves that we've been watching are stalled at the moment or pulling back because it's the run into the safe haven, which is now stopped because we have no idea what is going on with Israel at the moment. So they are starting to pull back. We have had a little bit of de-escalation, so they're starting to get some traction back in the opposite direction. Got out the pound Swiss yesterday. So we'll see what happens with these, but it's not the end yet. We could well have more escalation. We will have more escalation of some description, but whether or not it's enough for them to push more into the Swissy, we'll have to wait and see. So we'll see what happens. So there's nothing to look at on the ADR front. RSIs, there's a few things to look at, so we'll have a look at those. Let me just catch up on the chat. Morning outro. Michael, why did EU and GU buy yesterday? How do I even answer that? Because the US dollar powered up. Sorry, I'm going. You're going to hear a lot of skepticism in my voice because you've come in with a picture of Michael Huddleston as your icon, asking about ICT. It's first time here, obviously. You don't know about my feelings of ICT, so you're probably not going to get the best results from me in responses. Just to let you know. First thing I would recommend you do before you come back into a live room is go and watch the Position Trading Bootcamp, which is free on the website, and then you'll know exactly what I do, why I do it, and if you ask him the question as to why the EU and GU moved, you would know that we were waiting for some US dollar weakness to come in, and that's what happened yesterday. Anyway, if New Zealand dollar can get some strength this week, I'm going to throw a party. Yeah, I would as well. DJ Short, yeah, but I would wait. If you're going to get into the pound, I would probably wait until after 9:30 when you know the results of those PMIs. If we get a massive PMI hit today, we're going to get another batch of strength come through on the pound. So you'll be shorting ahead of substantial inflation news. So I wouldn't probably get into it just yet. Wait until after the news, 9:30. But yen strength should be prevalent now, I think. Now we've had that news from the yen overnight. We know that the US dollar is weakening. There should be some strength coming through in that yen now, hopefully. So, anyway, morning outro. ICT is a fraud. I didn't say that. Please don't argue about ICT in here. Just, if you want to learn how to trade, stay. If you want to talk about ICT, go into some other ICT group. Do it over there. Which robot is better to buy? Opening range breakout or hedging? Up to you. Watch both videos. Decide for yourself. Sabicio, the question. How did you set your lot size on the trades? That's baby pips stuff. Go to baby pips if you want to learn how to size your positions. Michael, okay, I don't understand these markets. Then why have you got a picture of ICT there? You're obviously pushing ICT. I'm going to block you. Sorry. I can't deal with people that are talking about that crap. He didn't. He's a pathological liar. I'm not outros starting fights. Go and Google some stuff about ICT and see what other people who trade for a living think about him, and then make up your own decisions. That's all I say. There's plenty of videos out there exposing all sorts of things about the guy. I don't know him. All I know is every time you mention his name, he tries to sue you. So probably best just to leave him alone because he's a bit of a loony, as far as I'm concerned. Ismet, afternoon. Anyway, let's just get off the subject. Right, news has just come out. We've just had the first batch of news on the euro. 42.6 negative euro. That is negative euro. That's for the French. We got the German obviously coming out. Services is positive. Manufacturing is negative. So that's a mixed result. One up, one down. Not a lot of reaction on the indices. That's pretty quiet. How will the 200k in BTC BlackRock just purchased going to affect the stock market? No idea. Don't even know what it is. It's up to BlackRock if they want to buy Bitcoin, isn't it? Didn't think it'll affect normal people who trade the stock market. I don't know. I wouldn't worry about causes. When you're trading the 5-minute chart momentum at the open, it doesn't matter. If it affects it positively and you get a fast break at the open, we make money. That's literally it. Doesn't matter, does it? how it affects the stock market long term. I'm interested in the 5 minutes there. Doesn't make any difference to me whether there's a bull market on or a bear market on. That's the wrong way around. A bear market on or a bull market on, does it? Doesn't matter whether it was a bull candle yesterday or a bear candle. It doesn't matter if we're above a moving average or below a moving average. At that particular point in time, there is a large influx of orders, and I go with that momentum. I couldn't give a monkeys about anything else. Doesn't matter, does it? This strategy is a momentum breakout strategy. If there is momentum and it breaks out, we make money. That's literally it. Whether some bank has bought a load of X, Y, or Z hasn't got anything to do with the open. It might make it move violently, which is fantastic. It just makes me money, doesn't it? That's all you need to worry about. With stocks, anyway. We're not getting any movement much anywhere at the moment. So I think we're waiting for the German PMIs. I'm really hoping we're not waiting around all day to see what happens with the US. Might be a bit of a dull one today, so we'll come back to that in a minute. Right, RSIs. Okay, sorry if it's a silly question, but I just bought the market reverse alert dashboard. How do you make it bigger? You can't. It is one size. They're all the same size, that size. Font and entire graph is a bit tiny. All the dashboards are the same. They're that size. Look, I haven't got the market reverse alerts one open, but all the dashboards are exactly the same. They're built on the same platform. They're all exactly the same. Look. If you've got a problem with scaling, that's an issue you need to deal with. That's nothing to do with the indicator. That's watch this video. If you've got a problem with scaling, i.e. everything appears tiny, it's because you've got a high resolution monitor. Oh my God, is there no other pictures? Well, that video tells you how to fix it anyway. You'll find things like the Price Action Toolkit as well. The text is too big on the buttons. It's because your MT4 isn't set up for 4K resolution. Neither is MT5. So you have to have it running in a different mode, which that video explains how to do. I have the same problem on my Microsoft Surface. Does the same thing. Just have to change the resolution it runs at. Right. RSIs, Euro CAD. Nice extended on the hourly. This is a 4-hour RSI extension, however, so we're above the 80 level. Bit of a weird price action, this one. So we had a nice big strong push up, nice pullback. You see I got short on there, got out of that short, sat around for a bit, and now we've pushed up higher. Canadian dollar, a little bit of weakness coming in with that US dollar yesterday, and also the oil price has dropped, so that's not going to help it either. We've got all these PMI figures coming out today for the euro, but the main thing we've got to focus on this week is the refinancing rate, or the interest rate, which comes out on Thursday. We're anticipating a 4.5 on that. There's no reason why we shouldn't get that. We've got Lagarde speaking tomorrow. Unlikely she's going to give any clues as to what they're going to do with that. What she's going to do is in the press conference tomorrow tell us why they did that. So we don't know what they're going to do. So it's a bit tricky taking any euro trades at the moment because you're ahead of some major news tomorrow on the euro. So I suspect it's going to be an as expected result of 4.5. I'm not sure how the market is going to take that, because if you look at the fundamentals for the euro, the current inflation figure is 4.3. So it's coming down very, very fast at a negative 0.9 at the moment. But what we see all the time, and the US dollar did exactly the same. The US dollar at one point was sitting at -1. So inflation was coming down like a rocket. Now look at it, it's flat. So what happens with inflation is it tends to come down and bounce like this. Yeah, like any other chart, like market structure. So at the moment, the euro is coming down super fast. So what they won't want to do is increase the interest rates, because that will accelerate the speed of drop. And what you don't want to do is overshoot. You don't want to go below 2% and then suddenly have a problem with negative inflation, which reduces growth in GDP and causes the opposite issues. So healthy growth is 2%. That's where everybody wants it to sit, like we've got with this good old Swissy, which is why it's a safe haven, because they just do everything perfect. They're like the Germans are at car manufacturing, the Swiss are at banking. Yeah. So I think it's unlikely we're going to get any different than a 4.5. So whether the market has factored that in or not is the question. So we've had a nice bull run basically on the euro against the CAD specifically, but if you look at all the euro pairs, they've had a nice bull run. So I'm not sure if this is the market running into that news or whether it's pushing ready to pull back on the news. So it's a tricky one. Any of these that you're going to look at on the euros, as you can see, there's a lot of extensions on the euro at the moment. You're kind of at the will of the news this week, aren't you? So, but either way, it's very extended above the 80 level. That's obviously more extended than norm. So we should be looking for at least a small pullback on it. You know, that one there, for example, was a 50%. That one there, roughly 50%, 38. So we should be looking for a 38 to 50% retracement on this move if we're going to continue to the upside. So it looks like a good short opportunity. M5 reversal this morning. Weird price action this morning. Just a mess, isn't it, this morning? So you've had a reversal alert in here, in this crap somewhere. You had a reversal alert this morning, but obviously it's completely chopped around at the open. So you're going to get another one down there. So it looks like a good short. What would worry me about this one? It wouldn't really necessarily worry me about it, but the Canadian dollar obviously is very much related to oil. At the moment, oil is coming down. I don't think oil is going to drop much further, because we should still be running up to that $100 a barrel. But oil over the last year has done whatever the hell it wants. And if we do get a continuation drop on oil, that's going to weaken the Canadian dollar, which will give this a few more legs up. So it's a tricky one, but good short at the moment. Euro CAD nicely extended on the 4-hour. Euro yen, whoops, nicely extended. Reversal, just gone in on that one. We know about all these yens. I'd much rather be shorting everything against the yen than longing it. So that's a nice extension to the upside. It's been embedded. So you would have really been in this last week at some point if you were going to get into another yen. We've got 5 minutes to the news. DAX is just trying to rally out the highs a little bit, not a lot. So yeah, euro yen, nice extension to the upside. I'd be shorting everything against the yen at the moment. But when it's going to happen, don't know. Hopefully, just starting now. Euro New Zealand, again, big extension. We've been in, well, I've been in this one for a while now. Waiting for a pullback on that move. Some strength on the New Zealand dollar. So hopefully we get negative reaction tomorrow on the euro. That's what I'm hoping for. But that's starting to come down now. Nice reversal on this one. Just gone in this morning on the hourly. 4 hourly. Whoops. We're looking at. That's extended and embedded. As you can see, this whole move here, I am expecting a pullback on. Worst case scenario, just on that leg, but that's a flag break. So that's not actually a pullback. That's just part of this huge parabolic move that we've had against the New Zealand dollar. So we've got the rates coming out for the Australian dollar tomorrow. Something's just spooked the stock market. All the indices have just suddenly had big sell orders come in across the board. Not sure what that was. So yeah, so really love all these New Zealand dollars. When the Aussie dollar rate comes out on Wednesday, tomorrow morning, hopefully we've got forecasts for not the rate, sorry, the inflation figure. when that comes out, the forecasts are all positive, and they're pretty good as well, as in a 0.1 and a 0.3. So these are very achievable to not only hit the targets, but also exceed them. So if we go with just a 0.1 above the year on year, that's going to be bullish for the Aussie and bullish for the New Zealand. If we can just get a 0.4 out of the quarterly figure, it's going to be bullish for the two as well. So good, strong push to the upside expected on those. So yeah, like that one as a short, and I'm already short on it because I'm on the hourly, but yeah, don't see any reason why we couldn't get a lovely big strong 50% retracement on that, or even potentially if we get any kind of negativity out of Lagarde tomorrow as to coming out and saying we're going to put interest rates down faster than everybody else, we could have a big drop on that euro tomorrow. So we'll see, but it's all news driven, as we know. Euro US dollar extended on the hourly and the 4 hourly. Obviously, massive drop on the US yesterday. Hourly RSI extensions the upside. So yesterday I got my first short on Euro US dollar. We'll be looking for a push back down potentially into that propulsion, but maybe even lower than that, depending on what happens with the euro figure. But I'd be happy just to take that move on this one, just back down into the lows down there, and then potentially continuation back up to the upside. But nicely extended on the hourly and embedded 4 hourly RSI extension almost above the 80 level. So just looking for, pullback if we're going to continue on the leg up, exactly the same way as the down. Yeah, just looking for the pullbacks to come in. So first short on that one, but might need to take some more on that one depending what happens with the news tomorrow. Pound CAD extended on the 4 hour. Again, nice big extension above the 75 level. It's at a decent point potentially. Oh no, it's not. Sorry, it's an old level that I drew in, isn't it? This one basically now I would be looking up here. So the most recent support resistance area we've got is this level here. So we've respected that multiple times. We accumulated around that level a couple of times as well. So that's 150 ADR to the upside. So that would be basically, if we can get a move all the way up to there without a pullback, that would be the ideal, because we're going to get a nice big strong pullback out of that level. So not in this one yet, hasn't quite got above the 75 level on the hourly, which is what I'm trading at the moment. But 4 hour, nice extension. We're on our way to getting extended above the 80. So if this one can push up a little bit more and get up into that area, that'd be a really nice short. So I'd kind of wait on that one for the minute. Pound yen is extended on the hourly. Only just got extended and it's starting to come back down again. So as you can see, we're stuck in a range at the moment on this one. This is range high potentially. It's not confirmed yet because obviously we haven't hit it. News has just come out on the DAX. Manufacturing 40.7, which is a hit. Why are you only giving me one? Services 48, which is a miss. So very mixed on both of those today. Interesting. So we had a miss on manufacturing for France, a hit on manufacturing for Germany, a hit on services for France, and a miss for Germany. Non-directional. So you're going to get the same result come out for the Eurozone, which will be a hit and a miss. Euro odd just hit ADR. So Euro's just taken a big tank off of that. Not much reaction because there's no reason to react, is there? So yeah, just going to let that play out and see if we get some movement today. Not a lot we can do with that one at the moment. It's a bit flip-floppy. So yeah, Euro US dollar was extended. Pound yen, that's just come out of extension. Pound New Zealand is the other one which is really extended. So this is going to be the same as the Euro New Zealand. It's starting to come down hard now. So is the pound. So big strong push on the New Zealand dollar. 4-hour RSI extension. We got a little bit more than a flag on this one, but that was a gap down. The New Zealand dollar is notorious for gapping at brokers because it's the first market in the world to open is New Zealand. So there is no liquidity around when the market opens on a Sunday night in New Zealand. Therefore, we get the biggest gaps at the week. So the weekly open. So that I kind of think is probably more broker price action. So I would be saying somewhere around there is probably what we would realistically look at if this market was continuous. So that's kind of a flag break in the same way as the Euro New Zealand was a flag break. Yeah. So this whole thing here, I think is potential for a pullback of 50%. So I'd be looking to come back into that weekly high there. All the way down there potentially, but we'll see. But that's nicely extended above the 80. Great divergence. So divergence to the downside potentially. Markets flushing. Wow. Dow Jones is tanking. Not sure if we maybe have had some earnings just come out, but there's nothing been released on there yet. So, but Dow's coming down hard. So they're selling some sector off somewhere. Everything's coming down across the board. So watch the gap fill. If you're not in a hedge on this and you are just trading normally with the opening range breakout EA, there's a good chance that obviously you're long that you're in. You haven't been stopped out on that yet. So if you are just trading the opening range breakout, you are long and you're about to stop out and obviously potentially flip short. So just watch this area for a bounce if you are flipping short, because we might just do the gap fill and then actually go. So see what happens, but not out yet. Whippy one today. Pound New Zealand, so that's coming down very nicely on the 4-hour. I'm in this one already. I've got 2 positions on. Average is only there, so just going to set my TP. I'm going to go for 175 ADR to the downside. That's a fairly decent profit. It will probably go potentially a little bit further. Could also obviously come all the way down, but that area there. So that's the flag break, if you like, this area here. So I'm just targeting above that area, basically, with the anticipation of a bounce happening down there. Pound US dollar, extended to the upside. This one, remember I said yesterday, when I was looking to get out of this yesterday, I said, if it's just textbook, isn't it? Why don't I ever listen to my own advice? If I listened to myself, I would make so much more money. I said yesterday, when we were approaching this level, if we break this high here, there's nothing to stop price until we get to this propulsion gap. So I would expect if this high gets broken, we will go straight into propulsion. So what did I do? I got out just as we broke the high. So yeah, now we're obviously going to push down and come and retest this propulsion gap down here. So we'll see where we go from there. But yeah, it's could go anyway, couldn't it? Absolutely anywhere, this one now. So we need to see what happens with the US dollar over the next few days, but we are starting a weakening of the US dollar. We've been waiting, well, I've been waiting for things to flip. So usually when we have an end of run or a start of run on anything, whether it be higher unemployment, higher inflation, or higher interest rates, the US is usually the leader because it's the biggest economy and it's the biggest transactional currency in the world. So that tends to lead everything. What I've been waiting for is them to lead the charge back down. But what they have said is they're going to hold rates until the end of next year, which means that if we're going to sit at 5.5, there's no reason for this thing to really drop hard. Unless something catastrophic happens with inflation dropping super fast, which will cause them to do that quicker. So I've been waiting for a weakening to start in the US dollar, not necessarily for a drop, but for a weakening, meaning that it turns into a kind of a neutral currency, meaning everything else will be able to push it around, which is the situation we had with the euro all the way through COVID. So at the moment, things like the pound US dollar, we could well see the pound now becoming the dominant currency from an FX perspective, and the weakening US dollar will mean that this one could be pushed around on pound news rather than on US dollar news. So not sure at the moment, and obviously what we're seeing at the minute, and we have seen for the last sort of month or so, is a completely sideways movement in this one. So I'll be watching these highs for bounces and watching back down at the lows for bounces now, in the assumption that we're going to basically just sit and flip-flop around a little bit. We'll probably have a bit of price discovery at the highs and then come back down into the range or the lows. But I don't really see this being particularly a strong bias one way or the other at the moment, unless something kicks off in Israel, which drags obviously everybody into some massive conflict. So at the minute, I think you can probably take this in either direction, up or down. And I'm not going to stop trading the pound US dollar just because it squeezed the crap out of me for 3 months. That's done. It's never done it ever to me before. I have no reason to expect it to do it again. Yeah. So, you know, people say to me, oh, I had a terrible time with XYZ pair, I'm never trading it again. Why? Just because you had one bad situation in it, why would you stop? The chances of you having 2 bad situations in it back to back are very low. So it's probably better to get in and trade it now, isn't it? But anything can do anything at any time. All depends on world events. But so either up or down on that one. Pound US dollars just getting extended to the upside. Like anything, if it's going to continue north for the next 3 months, it's going to pull back on its way. So watch for moves back into propulsion from where we are now. 5-minute reverse alert's just triggered. When the chart updates, it's going to take ages to update, but you will have just had a 5-minute reverse alert on this one. So nice looking short. US dollar Swiss extended to the downside at the moment, obviously on the 4-hour because of the push down that we've had. Starting to push back up again now. This is mainly going to be Swiss franc weakness, potentially, this one pulling back. So again, this one, no real long-term directional bias on it. So yeah, either direction. There's nothing really, I would say, that is massively biased long or short at the moment. You've got a few things like the US dollar CAD, but the US dollar CAD's a bit of an anomaly in the fact that they both move together. So if you look at other things which are like strong buys at the moment, like the euro odd, that's caused mainly by retail offside. So as soon as that turns into a -2 because they flip the other way, you're taking 4 off of that. So nothing is particularly strong or weak at the moment, i.e. nothing's above 10s, and we'd be thinking really don't want to do anything but buy that at the moment. So I think everything at the moment is still pretty much a neutral bias, because at the moment, until this gets sorted out and we know what the hell's happening with these, everything is bullish and everything is bearish, isn't it? Because nothing has an advantage over anything else specifically at the moment. It's just caused by what else is going on with the fundamentals, and they're not pointing to anything that is giving the banks any reason to tell us that these are going to change direction. Until that happens, until one of those potential banks comes out and goes, it looks like inflation's come down enough for us to start removing the interest rates, that's when you're suddenly going to get a bias. So if the US dollar is the first people to do it, we sell everything US-wise. Yeah. But we're not going to get that moment. Wow, this market's really tanking, proper tanking. So everything coming down very, very hard. Doesn't like something. So gap fill on the DAX. This propulsion gap obviously is the gap fill. So we'll see what happens down here. But all the markets selling off pretty hard together at the moment. So that's it, analysis-wise. Nothing much else today. We just had that Euro odd RSI extension. So pretty good move to the downside there, and coming out of propulsion at the moment. But that's where I would say you are probably going to come, that accumulation break there. There we go. Morning, Gray. Morning, George. I'm going really nasal when I try and say your name. George. George. Can't say it. I'm never going to be able to say it. I just want to call you George, basically. I've been looking for the video where you explain how to calculate ADR from Asian Open and how ADR levels move through the day. It's on the website. There. Outro is still total scam artist. Are you still having a go at ICT? Anyway, I'm not saying any more. I have no opinions either way. It's just not for me. That's all I can say. SIH is surely the best and most genius EA I've ever seen in my life. Thank you, Robert. It incorporates a lot of these ideas I already had before. Just gets it on point. Cool. German PMI came out worse than expected. Yeah. Morning, Johnny. So yeah, market's having a bit of a crazy whippy morning at the moment, but we'll see what happens. But the SIH EA and strategy is not faultless. Yeah. So you've got to be very careful, especially with aggressive exits. The key to this strategy and making this strategy work is patience. Yeah. As in yesterday. So there's one of two things is going to happen at the open. The open is either going to be aggressive and you're going to hit that target. And those are the days we just go, thanks very much, Mr. Market, I'm off. And that's it. 15 minutes, 20 minutes, we're done. Don't have to think about it anymore. The days where we don't get a clean break like today, the whole purpose of the strategy is you just sit back and go, right, didn't get it today. So let's see what happens. We give the market time. You don't want to make rash decisions. So we've got a gap fill here. Potentially, this could be the bounce point. We've done the gap and now we're going to go and run long. That's fine. What could happen is it could bounce out the gap and flood short. So if you get out of your shorts here and try and get out of your longs as it pushes up and it doesn't push far enough and it collapses down to here, you are just going into drawdown on that position by 5R, which is going to be 3, 4, 5% loss, depending on what your risk is. If you're risking 1%, for example. Yeah. So just give it time. I'm thinking it may well bounce here and go long. If it goes long, where's it going to go? So I'm thinking if it goes long, we're going to break today's high. We're probably going to break yesterday's high, which is this level. And then we're going to find somewhere up here for resistance. So I'm looking for it to have made its move before I start to get out, which is exactly what I did yesterday with all of them. I left them to run for a good hour and a half, 2 hours. And then I saw something, a level that we got a big, strong reaction at. And I was like, this looks like it could be it. But look at it. It's going to pull back on its way to wherever it's eventually going to end up. So if you try and take every tiny little pullback, you run the risk of getting out way too early. All my testing has shown it's much better to let the thing run. Just let it run as long as it possibly can. You're going to make more money if you just take this hedge loss today than if you try and exit at this bounce. And if this bounce doesn't work, you're going to take a 4 or 5 grand loss. Yes, you could get into another position down there once it's got down there and hope it comes back. But if it turns into an ADR day and it's an accumulation down there, you're going to take a 7, 8, 9, 10 grand loss. So just let it play out. 2, 3 days of the week, you're going to get those clean breaks as we did yesterday. Yesterday was like, boom, straight down. Thank you very much. Sorry, that was yesterday. That was the day before yesterday. Same thing. Yeah, yesterday was straight down. Thank you very much. Yeah, 2 days on the trot. Thank you. Thank you. Not so much today. But these two are more than that hedge. That's the edge. 65% of the time, roughly, you're going to get a positive result with either a clean break or a break and bounce. That's the edge. You just got to let it play out. Be patient. It's all about patience with this. And it's about taking one trade a day and going, that's my trade for the day. Not about getting cross, getting in, out, and in, out. And this, we're talking about ICT strategies. One of the reasons it didn't click with me is because there's a billion rules. When you have any type of strategy with a billion rules, there's a billion ways to play it. There is no strategy there. If you've got a chart there where you can have a line there, something else there, an indicator, an oscillator, a moving average of this, that, and the other, every time you add something into your strategy, you're adding a multiplier. So one indicator on the chart gives you a yes or a no. Two indicators on your chart gives you 4 variations. 3 indicators on your chart gives you 12 variations. Yeah. When you've suddenly got 12 variations, everything you backtest is going to make no sense whatsoever, because there are so many ways you could have played it. There's 12 ways every candlestick could play. You can't trade like that. It doesn't work. Yeah. So this is why my strategies are very, very simple. And it is true. Simple is best. RSI gets extended over that level. Condition. Indicator shows a bear in control. Signal. That's it. There is nothing else. When the condition is met, wait for the bears. When the condition is met, wait for the bulls. Yeah. When the market opens, wait for the break. That's it. There's one rule. You go with momentum. You go after momentum. Position trading, breakout. Mean reversion, breakout. That's it. It's very, 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 very simple. The problem I had with these complex strategies that people teach is you've got a level which is discretionary that could be another level above, which someone else will pick a different level. Moving averages, trend lines, all discretionary. Yeah. People say to me, you could make everything better if you just change that moving average to X. But what you're doing is you're making the moving average fit what's happened in the past. That's got nothing to do with the future. This 24-day moving average here is showing me what's happened over the last 24 days on the 4-hour chart. That's got absolutely nothing to do with the next candlestick whatsoever, has it? Yeah. If there's a line there, which is apparently what is going to be a stop run, as Steve Mauro originally taught, when it hits that level, the odds are 50-50. It's either going to hit that level, stop run, whatever theory you want to put into that, and come back down again, or it's going to hit that level and not. Yeah. The more lines you put on your chart and more complex you make it, the more difficult every strategy becomes. And that's the problem I have with these complex things like ICT, BTMM, and all these other strategies out there, which teach you all these complex things. They never boil it down to the final thing, which is there's a 50-50 shot when you press the button of that candlestick going up or down. And that's all that matters. We hit the button. If it works, brilliant. We deal with it. If it doesn't work, we deal with it. So the stock index hedge deals with it in the way of, if it works, brilliant. If it doesn't work, we'll wait for the rest of the day and see where we go. Position trading is we'll get in. If it works, fantastic. If it doesn't, we'll change our price to something that's better. Yeah, because we don't know. Nobody knows. This is what I mean. All these strategies, which are super complex, all it does is teaches you something super complex. At the end of the day, it's got no way of predicting anything that's going to happen in the future, is it? Load of rubbish. It's all a load of rubbish. It's all designed to sell you courses. And there's a video on my website about that, which I keep going on about. Somebody watched that the other day. I posted it in the Telegram group again. Somebody watched it the other day and said it's the best video they've ever watched. And I was like, I thought it was one of the most boring videos I've ever made, but it is 100% true. Because every single course you take, whether it be ICT, BTMM, useless candlesticks inside candlesticks, Greg Secker's stuff, everything is just teaching you exactly the same thing. The market's totally random. I'm going to give you a load of stuff to put on your chart that doesn't give you any idea of what's going to happen in the future, but just make sure you use risk reward. So what do you take out of every single trading course you ever buy in your life? Risk reward is key. Don't overtrade. Manage your psychology. Those are the only 3 things that are important in trading. Everything else you put on your chart is totally irrelevant to what's going to happen next. All pointless. Which is why it annoys me when people come in and talk about ICT and not ICT specifically, but other, just these gurus out there. They don't ever come in here and do this, do they? They don't do this. People that write books about stuff, yeah, like Tom Hugard, for example, he does this every day, live. I do this every day, live. Larry Williams used to do this every day, live. All the big traders that have actually made money in this thing do it, and they show you how to do it. They don't put it in a video lesson and vlog it to you for $2,000. What happens, is it? So my problem is not with individual people, it's with education in general. It's all a load of crap. Lee versus ITC YouTube boxing match. I don't think I'd win that. I'm rubbish. I don't do fights. At the risk of being kicked out, what is ICT? Not saying a word. I have to say, if you don't know how to use Google, you're going to struggle in trading. Morning all, running the SAHEA on FBS demo current. Cool. I've been short on US dollar CAD for 4 days. Could you please show me possible direction? No. If I knew that, I would do it. As I've just said, I haven't got a clue. If I had a clue which way it was going, I would just press the button now and I would never be in here, would I? Because I'd be a multi-billionaire if I knew where this was going, because I would just basically do that. But I don't. At the moment, we're stuck. So as you can see on the RSI, we're just basically, there's nothing much going on. Last entries I had were short. If you're short on this, I suspect you're possibly 4 positions. Oh, you've been short on it for 4 days. Okay. 1, 2, 3, somewhere around here. So you've probably got in on that there. So you're in profit. Right. So, okay. So you're saying, where's it going? So potentially, if that is going to hold, then down here. So either look at last week. I mean, it's all the same stuff for me. It's lines on the chart, right? Price turned there, price turned there, price turned there. So if it's going to continue to go down, it's probably going to turn there or there. And if it doesn't turn at those levels, it's going to flush and hit the buyers that started this rally. So if everybody there is still long, they will add into those positions and want to keep it long. So if you're short and you're in profit, watch 125 ADR, 175 ADR, and the flush. But my crystal ball's not working today, so I can't tell you which. But get out when you got a profit. Get triggered, but my terminal freeze. No change in P&L. Then your terminal's frozen. I don't know what. If your terminal's frozen, your terminal's frozen. I don't really know what to say about that one. Contact your broker. We should all get a picture of Lee as our profile picture. Definitely. You should definitely do that, Satan's flip-flop. That would be good. I'll pose for you. Look, here we go. Ready? Okay. I've no idea what I look like then because I wasn't looking, but that was probably a hideous picture. Right, leaving it there today because I've got nothing else to talk about. Just waiting for stuff, basically. I might be getting out of New Zealand dollar, US dollar today. That's pulling back at the moment, but we've just tapped into that resistance and bounced quite substantially from that level. So this area here, yeah, this is why we have support resistance lines on the chart. Yeah, just it's bloody obvious, but I'm going to point it out. Price pushed up and bounced from there. Next time we got to that level, it bounced again. Price pushed down and bounced from there. Next time we got to that level, it bounced again and again. Yeah, price pushed down below that level, it pushed up and it bounced. Then it tried again and it bounced. Now it's trying again and it's bouncing. This is why we have these lines on the chart. You don't need to know anything and don't need to pay anybody to teach you anything apart from support and resistance, because that's what price does and has done forever. Go back in your charts, scroll out as much as you can, take that button off and just keep going back in time. And you will see this happening over and over and over again. Yeah, all it does is it bounces at support and resistance. Don't need to pay anybody for any other education. Just use that. And watch price action when you get to those levels. And if it doesn't bounce at that one, wait for the next one and get in there. You need one of those soft circular lights to soften your lighting. I have got one here. Look, I can change it. I can't see. And I can change the color as well, look. I can be more, there you go, that's softer. It's my scowly look. Anyway, enough of that. That was all your fault for starting that ICT conversation this morning, whoever you were. Anyway, right. So yeah, New Zealand dollar, US dollar is the only thing I'm potentially going to get out of today. That was in profit this morning. It's a difficult one because I'm expecting some New Zealand dollar strength. I'm kind of holding on to this until tomorrow morning. I'm really hoping we get these positive CPIs tomorrow, because that will really rally this Aussie and the New Zealand. So there's a good chance of us being up at this previous weekly tomorrow. Really weird now. I've got this like orange glow coming down on top of me. It's really bizarre every time I look up. So yeah, that's a pretty good target, I think, at the moment. I'm just going to adjust for that propulsion gap there, because it's all going to be happening overnight while I'm asleep. So I'm just moving my TPs into that propulsion. So if we can get sort of that sort of movement today and we don't push back down again from this resistance, then I don't see any reason why we were not going to come up and challenge that level there. And obviously the news tomorrow will potentially do that. These are really obvious resistant previous propulsion moves, which obviously going to turn into resistance to the upside. So this is equivalent to what we've just seen happening on the pound US. Remember I said, you know, if we break these highs, we're going to head here. So if you look at the New Zealand dollar US, it's pretty much the same thing. Yeah, if we break these highs, we're going to head here. But are we going to break these highs? So it's a safer exit to get out there. Still a decent profit, but more likely to be achieved. If that holds, we're not going to get out of this high. We're not going to get there, are we? But if you've got bigger balls, that's where I would be going. So depends how long you want to hold for and how much faith you've got in this New Zealand dollar move, basically off the back of the Aussie. So we'll see what happens. Aussie US RSI alert. There's the PMIs just come in. So manufacturing was a miss. Services was a miss as well. So yeah, because you've got a positive and a negative and a positive and a negative, but overall the total of them is ever so slightly down, very, very slightly. So we're down by 0.6 on manufacturing and we are down by 1% on services. So that's all kind of negative euro, but I would argue it's not necessarily massively negative. Market's not having a huge reaction to it, but it is coming down. So I'd be more than happy for it to drop. I'll make some money. Better, but it does look a bit overexposed. I've got too many lighting options. I haven't. I've just got one little tiny square, basically. Anyway, you don't come here to look at me, do you? Come to look at that. Right, so I'm not here tomorrow morning, just to let you know. I'm not here at all tomorrow. I'm off tomorrow. So I'll be back on Thursday morning for the next session. So, yeah, I'm going to let the EA run tomorrow morning, though. So, yeah, business as usual, really. But I'm out for the day tomorrow. So I'll be back on Thursday morning for Frankfurt. I'm back this afternoon, though, for the New York session. So perhaps I need makeup. Yes, I need some Greg Secker eyeliner, don't I? That's what I need. So yeah, I'll obviously let the EA run tomorrow, but I'm back this afternoon at 2:20, same time for the US session. That's rejecting that initial sell propulsion move. Look, so it does look like it's going to go short. So we did buy out the gap fill, and now we're selling out of that propulsion move. So it's a battle between those two propulsion gaps. Whichever one breaks, obviously we're going to flush. So we'll see if there's enough power in the market to actually get a move started today. We might just sit in rotation. And we've got more PMIs coming up at 9:30 this morning for the UK. So just bear that in mind. In half an hour, we've got the PMIs for the pound as well. Again, these could come out beautifully positive. Be lovely to get positive pound and then negative US today. But I think I've got pound exposure short on the pound New Zealand. It's going to be really hard to get out of that pound New Zealand, I think. If this New Zealand dollar powers up massively and we get positive PMI figures off the pound this afternoon, this morning, this is just going to go like this all day today, which is going to be really annoying because I'm exposed short on the pound. But we'll see. But everything else is kind of flip-flopping around, waiting for this Swiss franc move to hopefully continue and unravel. But keep your eyes peeled on the news, because obviously the main thing we're interested in is what's going on at the moment with Israel. If that ground offensive does start, we are going to potentially see a drop in the stock markets, and then we'll see potentially further rallies in the Swiss franc, possibly the yen and the US dollar. So although they will be short-lived, they will probably happen. So at the moment, everything seems to be calmed down, which is great. We're not getting any volatility coming in around the Swissy, and they seem to be undoing the Swiss franc moves. So hopefully these will just continue and we can get out of these. But I've got a long way to go to get out, because it was a very hard entry. So it's difficult to get out of them, but we'll see. See where we go. Downside TP for the DAX hedge. I'm looking at just keeping the 5R today. So if you scroll out, there's nothing to the downside. Look, we haven't got any downside targets. We've got to go back a fair old way to get a downside target. So ADR is here, which is yesterday's low. So yesterday's low and ADR are the same level. So if we're going to get a big, strong push and we're going to hit the average daily range, that is where we're going to start to find support, definitely at yesterday's low. However, this level here, where we pulled back through this propulsion move and then rallied away, this propulsion gap is where the buyers started that second leg move yesterday. What time did that kick in? Yeah, so that was the open, wasn't it? So that kicked in at New York. So I would be looking and watching this propulsion gap and 5R. So this low here is potentially the bounce point. If you want to be super safe, I mean, halfway in that propulsion gap is probably the safest place, because we know propulsion gaps, as you can see, yeah, the whole purpose of this is a bank order. So when we get back to it, if they are holding longs here and they don't want to lose those longs, they will add more in, which means you're not going to fill that propulsion gap like this. Bang. Bang, we half fill. Yeah, half fill. Because basically we're selling. No, we want to buy. No, we're selling. No, we're selling. No, we're selling. Yeah, they're not going to let them through that line. That line is their line in the sand. That's where they puke their orders. Yeah, So you don't get through. That's the whole point of propulsion gaps. It shows you where the order is. So having your target below there is less likely to be hit than there. But as we know, propulsion gaps will also get run over. If they're not going to defend that level because they're out of those positions, that's invalid and it will just get run over. You don't know which it's going to be. If it's going to get run over, you want your target down here, close to that low. If it's not going to get run over, you want it in there. Which one? I don't know. So, but it's also a long way down to ADR. So if you get out here of your shorts, obviously the stock index hedge EA will then place the pending. If you're using aggressive mode, which I am, it will then look for an additional entry for you when we get some bullish price action coming through. If it continues to push down to there, you'll be getting into another position to get out on that bounce. But I don't know. You know, this is the difficulty with this strategy. On the hedge days, you have to make a decision, and some days those decisions will be right, like yesterday. Some days those decisions will be wrong, and you'll take a bigger loss than the hedge. Whenever you try and get out of a hedge, the risk is you're going to make more loss. So I'm locked in now at $1,000, $1,100. That's it. Can't lose any more than that right now. So if I delete these TPs at the New York Open, that is my guaranteed P&L. No more, no less. That's it. If I get out of my shorts here and it goes like that by that distance, I'm out with a break even. Yeah, because that is my loss. That amount is equivalent to that distance. So if it pushes back that distance, that becomes a zero. If it pushes up to here and I get out here, that becomes a positive $500 or whatever it may be. However, if I exit my shorts here and it does that, that is going to turn into not 1,000, because that's 1,000. So that's going to turn into around about $2,000 more in loss, which means that goes up to a minus $3,000. So if I get out here and it gets down to ADR, when we're at ADR, I'll be looking at about $3,000 drawdown. If it then bounces back from there and I've got an aggressive entry added on, I only need to get to about there to get out of the whole thing with a positive result. But think about this. If you get out of that there and it pushes down to ADR and it does that and it triggers another long and then it collapses to 200 ADR, that will be somewhere around about 10, 15 grand. So you've got to make a decision based on what you see on your chart, which is again why I always say, yes, use EAs for automation, but do not let an EA trade for you. Let it get you in, let it get you out. It's doing everything, it's managing it, it's adjusted my TPs, it's done everything I want it to do. But I'm watching this. I'm here, I'm trading. So I will make decisions today based on what I see happening on the charts. If it gets to here and I get out and it suddenly puts in a massive black candle, pushes up into there and pushes down again, I may take a decision to re-hedge it and lock in 2.5 grand's worth of loss because I'm not sure. You can make that decision. Whether it's right or wrong, no one can tell you. Yeah. The best traders in the world, look at people like Tom Hoongard, who, and I use him a lot because he trades live. And that's why I respect him, because he does it in front of everybody. He will openly admit he has no clue where price is going. He will get out of a trade because he has made money. He has no idea whether he should be getting out of that trade. I have no idea whether I should be getting out there. What will happen is when we get to here, it will either do that or it will do that. I have no idea. But you have to deal with what you're dealt. So we've been dealt a hedge. So I'm looking at that as if we can get all the way down there nice and quick, it'll probably bounce. If it doesn't bounce, I've got a plan. Yeah. So you've got to have just that backup plan. It's the same as position trading. You know, this is what I teach in the bootcamp with position trading. What have I got a single on at the moment? Euro US. Yeah. So Euro US dollar, I'm short, right? So I've gone short. It's playing out at the moment. Fantastic. So it's a bog standard H1 RSI M5 mean reversion entry. I'm looking to target that. It will either hit that target or it won't. If it doesn't hit that target, what's my plan? The next stage is If this pushes up, I'm going to be going, right, that is obviously not the RSI extension. They don't need to profit take that, so they're going to push up for another leg. Where are they going next? There or there. So my plan is, if that trade doesn't work out, I will look at a bounce point of that or that. Yeah, I've got a plan. You've got to, it's like chess. You've got to be thinking, what's the next move I'm going to make? If this trade doesn't work out right now, where is it going? Well, it's not going down, so it's going up. So if it's going up, where's it going up? It's going up to where it was before, which is there or there. Those two areas, somewhere in that zone, I have no idea where in that zone, you will find people looking to sell. Why? Because that's where they sold it last time. If they're still selling it, that's what they will do again. So you just plan for the next instance. If that doesn't work out, and I get an entry there and I get an entry there, and it still pushes up and it slams through that level, what am I going to do next? Well, it's going to come up into this propulsion move probably. So I'll add another one there and then at that monthly high. So I'm already planned 4 entries if this goes wrong over the next week. And it's exactly the same with the hedge. I don't know where it's going, but if it goes down and it breaks that low, it's logical that it's going to find support there, that propulsion gap or that low, first of all. I've no idea, but this one makes me a decent amount of money, isn't stretched enough that it will probably want to bounce. This one, it might be just part of a rotation move. Might be right, might be wrong. I don't know, but that's my plan. You've just got to plan. Yeah. And this is the beauty of the hedging strategy. I've got all day to plan. I'm sitting here talking now, and I've been talking for the last hour. It's just hedged. I'm sitting here going, whatever. It's beautiful, isn't it? It's just such a relaxing strategy to trade because you don't care what it does. It'd be nice if it gets down to there, but if it doesn't get down to there, worst case scenario, it's going to knock 1% off the 6% gain I made yesterday. Oh, well. Doesn't matter, is it? And I can get that back this afternoon. Imagine taking a $1,100 loss this morning, and then this afternoon, the NASDAQ, the Dow, and the S&P all having clean breaks to the upside to 2R. That could happen this afternoon. What also could happen is the same as yesterday. All 3 of them could get hedged and turn into a pain in the ass to manage all afternoon. I don't know whether I'm going to be finished in 10 minutes this afternoon or 2 hours. That's my job. I don't have times. I start work at this time. I don't know when I end. I end now because I'm finished. I'm finished talking, but I'm not finished trading. I've got to trade all morning now. Or I've got to watch this all morning, basically. Bit of a different job, isn't it? I'm going to go and make a coffee, go and walk the dog. I'll come back in half an hour and see where we are. That's my job, watching. Same with the position trading. My job is literally every couple of hours to go, what's the P&L doing? Oh, okay, that's moved. Brilliant. I'll put that down there. That's my job, watching this thing go up and down. And then when this goes green, I put it down there. But you've got to have a plan for if this doesn't do that, do the other. So to answer the question, that's where I think it's going. But what it could do today is this. What do? Nothing. Just nothing you can do, is there? If you can't get movement, you can't make money. The only thing we can do as traders is make money out of volatility. We haven't got volatility. We haven't got a way to make money, have we? Because volatility is movement. And if there's no movement, there's no way to make money. We can only make money when it goes up and down. If it doesn't go up and down, but it just does that, if it doesn't move up and down, if it just ranges, then there's not a lot you can do. You could answer that, yeah, I'll take a short, I'll take a long every time we get there, and I'll take a short every time we get there. One of those trades is going to fail, and that should be the breakout. Which one's it going to be? Nobody knows. If you knew that, you'd do it, wouldn't you? RBA Governor Bullock speaks. It giving a speech. It? Oh, I'm not going to tell Bullock you called him or her an it. I don't even know if that's a male or a female, Bullock. It's so rare that the RBA talks. A lady. It's Michelle. Michelle Bullock. Yeah. Yeah, it might be something coming. That's now, isn't it? 9 o'clock. But it's highly unlikely anything will be said there, because unless she releases what the CPI figures are going to be, which she's not, everything she says is speculative based on data. So what will happen today with any information we get out of her today is going to impact tomorrow's result. So if she says today, if the inflation figure rises, we will increase interest rates. If that comes out as a positive, it will be more bullish because we know that we've got an interest rate coming. If she says, if it comes out as a bullish result or a bearish result within a percentage variation, we're not going to change interest rates. We know that it doesn't matter what that result does tomorrow. We're not going to get a bullish or bearish move on the Aussie. Yeah. So the only thing she can really give us hints as is to forward guidance on this data. She's not going to tell us exactly what they're going to do when that data changes. So if this speech had come after that, it would have an awful lot more impact. Same as Lagarde, yeah? So Lagarde is speaking tomorrow. Lagarde is speaking there on Thursday after the rate. So the press conference will typically come after the rate, because what they will do is they'll have a speech ready for if we get. Yep. So after the rate announcement, which they know what obviously that's going to be because they're the ones that do it, they will tell us what their forward guidance will be based on data coming forward. So they will say if the inflation figures are stubborn and keep going up, we will increase interest rates further. So we know that next time we get a CPI figure for the euro, we know what to do. That's why we pay attention to this. This moves the market way more than that does, because we kind of know what that's going to be. And if it's a shock, we will react to it, but we won't react properly until we know exactly why we should be reacting. And that's what the forward guidance is for. The market is always pricing in movement. We're always looking at where are we going, not where have we been. What is the result now? That's past. Yeah. As soon as that result comes out, 4.5 for the euro on Thursday, we're going to go, right, it's 4.5. Where are we going? Because what's happened isn't going to help me now, is it? I need to know what to do next. Do I need to buy the euro or sell the euro? So Aussies talking today isn't going to really help us, because tomorrow's inflation figure is what we're interested in. But it will potentially put a bit of volatility into the market. So depending what's said, you know. Good evening from down under. Evening, Jax. We were just talking about you. Well, the Aussies, basically. Right, I'll leave it there. Anything you need, let me know. I'll be back on Thursday morning for the DAX. I'll be back this afternoon for the US indices as usual, but I'm not here at all tomorrow. So you'll have to fend for yourselves tomorrow. Back on Thursday for the morning session, but 2:20 this afternoon for New York as usual. We'll see what happens with this lot today. It's just flip-flopping around at the moment, and obviously wait and see what happens with the DAX. But I'll update in Telegram. And obviously, we'll have a look at it this afternoon and see where we went. But at the moment, we haven't gone anywhere for the last half an hour. So, see what happens. All right, have a good day. Anything you need, let me know. I'll be in Telegram. Other than that, we'll see you guys this afternoon, if not on Thursday morning. Have a good day.